Hello and welcome back to On to the Next Thing. I'm Michael, your host, and today we have a guest, Chris Francisc. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing quite fantastic. We were just talking a little bit before this, but it's been a very action-packed day. Um, Went to the beach yesterday, studied this morning with my girlfriend, and
That's
went
excellent.
to the grocery
All right.
store.
Well,
Here.
eventually we're going to. Oh, you cut out for a second, or do you still have audio?
Yes,
Okay, never mind. I just talked over you. My bad. I do that sometimes. All
it's
right.
all
Before we really find out who you are and what you do, I've got to go into everyone's favorite segment, which is bird news, where I pick out one or two bird headlines from around the country and around the world and read them for the people. Everyone loves it. No one watches this, but everyone who does watch it loves bird news. All right. First one. This is from Yahoo Life. All right. On Pet Helpful. Woman makes owl to scare magpies, accidentally invents new bird religion. All right. And what might be the most unintentionally hilarious DIY fail of the year? Actually, I feel like I need a different voice for this. And what might be the most unintentionally hilarious DIY fail of the year? A woman's attempt to scare away the magpies outside her home with a handmade papier-mâché owl turned into an unexpected bird worshipping ceremony. TikTok user Sarah Jane 72 shared the video. This is not news. God damn it. Capturing the local magpies gathered around her homemade owl deterrent and appeared to revere it as some sort of glowing-eyed feathered deity. Then they engaged in what appeared to be a spooky ceremony of some sort, which just makes me laugh harder the more times I watch it. This is not me, this is the author saying. Okay. All right, then this is just quotes from like, okay, quotes. I don't care about that. All right, owls are natural predators of many smaller bird species, including magpies. Their presence usually serves as a visual deterrent, warning other birds away to stay from the area. Science backs it up sometimes. That's why humans have been propping fake owls up everywhere from gardens to rooftops for years. But here's the catch. Birds, especially magpies, are not dumb. Experts warn that if you leave a fake owl sitting still, they will quickly figure out it's a total fraud. It's recommended to regularly move the decoys or rotate them in order to maintain their effectiveness. Did Sarah's magpies believe her ruse for a minute? Oh, wait, what the fuck? Okay. Oh no. All right. No, this is unreadable. Okay. Either way, I guess the magpies were scared of the owl and somehow left. What? Okay, I haven't actually read an article this unreadable in a while. This is just like a weird like blog post. What? Okay, they gathered around. Okay, all the magpies did was gather around their fake owl. Like it's not like okay, they engaged in some sort of ceremony. And then they had a link to the video, but the link is dead, so you can't even watch the video. Cool. I had one other bird headline. Rain family? What? Search. All right, nope, these are all garbage. I lost the other one that I wanted to do. Okay, so next section. Hi, how are you? Who are you and what do you do?
Hello, my name is Chris Francisc. I am a research assistant at Brandeis University studying machine learning, specifically large language models. And yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. Do you have I actually the last part of that audio cut out. So you're a research assistant doing learning about machine learning at Brandeis.
Yes.
And was there something else to that? I literally cut off the audio.
Specifically large language models.
That's cool. So what does that entail for the average I'm not going to say stupid person, but let's say lay person uh, listening to this podcast?
So pretty much, if you've heard of ChatGPT, that's an example of something called a large language model. And I'm no expert on this topic specifically because it's only been about a month and a half that I've been really serious about this. But think of a large language model as basically a big machine that you give it some sort of text that you would expect a response to. So this could be, a question. It could be a summary. It could be an article, basically any sort of text that you would want some response to. And then you would give it some sort of action to do with said text. And on the outside, it'll make its best guess at putting together words to give you a human sounding correct answer. Um, and what I do specifically in the lab is we are taking, at least right now, we're taking one of these large language models, not specifically ChatGPT, but something pretty similar. And we're trying to figure out how we can make the model more accurate with while using less computational power. And the specifics of it is pretty much we're trying to see if we can take a base model and pretty much not put any computation into it to make it and see how far we can take the improvement. Um, yeah, I guess that's I don't know if that was a clear, but that's
I mean,
my best explanation of what I do.
yeah, I'm kind of a baby when it comes to any sort of computer science related stuff, but it sounded pretty clear based on what you're saying, and I feel like I kind of get the idea.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're contributing to kind of to like basically the general AI learning process, say.
Yes.
And were you always interested in AI, or is it something you kind of fell into over time during your computer engineering career?
So I have been interested in computer science for phew, at this point, like 5 year, no, that's a lie, like seven senior year, no, 6 years worth of time. So my first real introduction was to computer science was an AP computer science class that was offered at my high school. And in this class, we learned it was basically intro to Java. And this is where I learned the very basics of computer science. So just like functions and data types and what an ID or an integrated development experience environment is and how to actually step one like talk to a computer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And ever since then, uh I knew I wanted to go into it as a career, but as an 18-year-old, I was very senseless, I would say. And when I was applying to schools, I applied to all the schools I applied to as a computer science major. And for some schools, they make UMass specifically, they make you put a secondary major in case you get rejected from your first one. And I got rejected from computer science, and UMass Amherst was the only school I was actually going to go to because of costs. And my secondary major was mathematics. And I ended up switching into mechanical engineering because it was just an easier process to switch versus into computer science. And I wasn't really thinking about my career or what I was going to do after college. I was really more just focused on nothing. I was focused on
Yeah.
nothing for it, honestly. And by the time I was like a senior in college, I kind of regretted my decision to not push forward to the career path I originally chose, but I was already so deep into it, and it's like I have to finish this at the very minimum. And I finished. I got a job at in manufacturing, and this entire time since senior year, so this is now like for the past 2 years, I knew I wanted to switch. And recently, after working full time as a manufacturing engineer for a year, I got accepted to grad school for computer science. And I also know that they were doing good research very close to my house. So, and I also had the money saved up to kind of, choose what I want to do with my current situation. So I decided to make the leap and quit my job and basically build myself from the ground up as a college student and a research assistant, unpaid, of course, and
Oh, of
hope
course.
change my career in the next year or two.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'll be honest, I definitely see certain parallels, even though we're in fairly different fields. I don't ever reveal the exact field that I'm in, on this podcast, but I was always more into natural sciences, but I was very unfocused as far as my career, as far as my career went. I basically kind of I tricked my parents when I was going into college. I was telling them like, "Oh yeah, I'm going into biology because there's a lot of good work for biology in the region that I'm in. We'll just say Massachusetts, for example." And because I had heard about all this biotech stuff. I didn't know anything about biotech going into college. I knew it's kind of related to pharmaceuticals and that there is a good bit of money in it. And I was like, okay, I'll try and get interested in that. I'll tell my parents that's what I want to do. And so I went just kind of general biology going in. But I knew that I wanted to go more conservation, environmental route. And so kind of once I was in and I already had my parents' support, that's when I kind of over time started just kind of move my way over more towards environmental science, which you know, so not exactly the same. I didn't have that many major switches. I just kind of added the thing that I actually wanted to do on top of the thing that I originally said to my parents that I would do. They probably had the idea that I was going to become a doctor, but they were sadly mistaken, and instead I've become a I was going to say a full-time podcaster, but that sounds too embarrassing. That's not what I am. Uh, but yeah, it's definitely tough when you're kind of starting out and like especially just in school when you have all this different pressure and you just finished up the pressure from high school and from the application process of getting into colleges and then it's like okay, now what do you actually want to do? And it's like, yeah, I kind of want to just take a break. And so for a lot of people, me myself included, that's kind of what freshman year is. It's like you're taking classes, but like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, do you think do you have any idea where you're trying to go moving forward from this?
No, not really, honestly. I kind of am now of the belief that a career is something that only really makes sense when you are looking backwards at it. Because I look back on my career, like my college time, and I was not very like a serious-minded person in college. And if I had studied computer science back then, like I said that I wanted to, I would be in a much worse position than I am now, where I'm entering into it with the right mindset and habits that I built, um, just over the time of maturing and growing up.
Right.
So, yeah, in terms of where I'm going in the future, I'm not really sure. I really just think that so long as I continue to try hard at whatever I'm doing, a path or a door will open up for me to enter into, and I don't really need to specifically focus on choosing one thing. Like I probably want a career in machine learning, whether that be like, at a big company or like a small firm or something. But I'm also doing content stuff. I'm also like connected to some people in like the startup world. So it's like there's a lot of different avenues that I could end up in, and it's really whatever door opens up to me at the right time is what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a yeah, I sort of agree with that notion about that. It's definitely a thing where it's like it makes sense, once when you're in the present and looking back, like, oh yeah, I went that path and I went that path and that path. But the future is a very uncertain thing, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind for a lot of people who are early in their careers, where it's just like, the opportunities or let's say roadblocks can pop up at any time and really just shift the path that you're on. Shifting topic a little bit, or rather, not really shifting topic, but thinking outside the box a little bit. How much do you think your work is going to contribute to the future AI apocalypse?
Not at all. I can't lie. So it's like, yeah, not at all. I don't think it's I think it could be like a very minor contribution that maybe one day in the future would become like a little bit more mainstream in uh the way that these large language models are being trained. But this isn't also like a novel topic. This is really taking ideas from also from AI, but from like different kind of sections of it and applying it specifically to training large language models. Um, so yeah, I think probably quite a minor contribution. This is definitely not going to be the difference between, robots ruling society or not,
Yeah, yeah. You're not doing anything too crazy. You're not like you're not the one like making the Neuralink chips and like putting them
Yeah,
into.
exactly.
Honestly, if I went that biotech route, that's probably closer to what I would have been doing if I had gone into biotech. Just being like, how can we integrate USB drives into people's brains a little more easily? Let's go to let's go to this junior research scientist and see what he thinks. But no.
Oh, just a second. I'm
Uh,
gonna change the SD card. Robots taking over or not is definitely not my research. I can say that.
Yeah, it's yeah. I'd say yours is kind of more just about basically just like the learning process, just kind of being able to interpret information and be able to kind of replicate it. I don't know. I'm really bad with this sort of subject. I've had two guests on this podcast. Well, I've had three, and two out of the three have been far deeper into computer science than I ever was. And so I'm usually
Mhm.
just sitting here with like my mouth open, just kind of listening, listening to people who know so much more about this. And I hope that people in the audience have a better interpretation of this than I do, because I feel like every time I go like, oh yeah, so it's like this, it's totally wrong. And then people are just polite to me and go like, yeah, no, you've got it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the real in the weeds detail does not really matter unless you actually are working on it. I think there's a lot of you know, there you should understand like the impact on, how it's going to affect your day-to-day life because it really will affect everybody's day-to-day life. But the actual like details of it, I don't think it really matters to the majority of people.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
not the details. Do you think it's the type of thing that would be applied to resumes and to job recruiting operations in the future, or is it going to be stuff that's kind of more in the research sector for a while?
like my research or just artificial intelligence in general?
Or yeah, I mean like maybe the software that you're working on, is it kind of, are they thinking it may be more use in that capacity, or is it more of just something that they're using as like, just to kind of test the abilities of these programs and software and things like
Uh,
that?
this is really more. It could be applied to basically any industry, but it has less to do with the industry and more to do with the actual model. So it's like, I guess you can say it could be applied to anything, but the real idea is just the actual development of the model and how much like do you know what a GPU is or
Yeah, yeah,
it's
pretty much.
basically it's just like how what it really is trying to ask is like how many GPUs do we actually need to train one of these models, you know what I mean? Or they call it compute or computational resources. Um, yeah, but it could be applied to any industry, but it has much more to do with like the actual research and development than it does with um, a specific industry.
Oh yeah, you already mentioned it's more about the efficiency than anything else.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, I did listen to that. I've been listening this whole time, and I'm very good at listening. And all right. Well, I think that's a pretty good explanation of what you do and a bit about who you are. But part of who you are is the media that you consume, which is something that I think is very let's not say important, but it's definitely it's kind of about who you are. But anyway, the point is are there any movies, television shows, music that's really been impacting you lately, or that you've just been really vibing with?
Um, I don't actually watch like almost any movies or TV shows. I
All
like
right, well, that's the show. Thank you for listening to no.
I
Music. I know
actually
you listen to music.
yeah, I listen to music, but it's like in terms of like what I watch, I actually like almost exclusively watch YouTube. Like that's it. I don't watch like I do watch movies like sometimes if I'm going like out with my girlfriend, but like I almost never watch movies on my own accord. I don't watch any TV shows. I only watch YouTube. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of creators that I like, but it really depends on the subject. So it's like the main subjects that or the main topics that I consume have been like basketball videos, machine learning videos, business videos. This is a pretty business adjacent, but like content creation videos. And yeah, those are probably the biggest topics that I watch. Uh, my favorite creator is he's very popular. His name's Alex Ramosi. He makes a lot of business content. Um, but it's like I think the my favorite thing about it is more often than not, the ideas really apply to anything outside of business because I feel like the majority of the things that he talks about is removing obstacles that make it removing obstacles that make it difficult for you to achieve your goals, prioritizing your time properly, understanding the things that you need to do that really move the lever in whatever you're trying to achieve. And yeah, if I could sum it up into three things, I would really say it's that, but he breaks it down into business nuance and but I think it could be
Yeah.
applied to
What are
and
what are some obstacles that what are some obstacles that you think are important to remove from your life, like family or if your family or perhaps your fam or no, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't I don't watch a lot of business movies, but what are actually what are some like what are some obstacles that this creator would think of for getting rid of?
so for me, I think the most important thing is removing the amount of decisions that you need to make in a day. Um, and what I mean by that is I wake up at like the same time every single day. I wear the same clothing to the gym every day. Like I don't wash them. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like I
Hell
wear like the
yeah.
same, yeah, I wear the same outfit every single day. Um, like it's just black shirt and shorts. And when I go to like the research lab, I wear like the same exact rotation of five outfits. You know what I mean? Um,
Yep.
I also eat the same thing, like at least on the weekdays, like Monday through Friday, it's the same thing every day. It's just like beef rice. Um, yeah, it's like I hit the gym like at the same time. So it's like outside of everything I need to maintain my life, or for all of the things I need to maintain my life, I actually don't need to really think about it at all. And that gives me like the rest of my headspace to be able to just pretty much completely dial in on, at least recently for me, it's been machine learning and content creation. And I think that in every stage of my life, the better I've gotten at progressing towards whatever I want to progress towards, I do less and less things and not more and more things. And it's actually really funny because in my machine learning lab right now, we're asking this question about what we call them as detrimental parameters. And we're basically saying like if we remove what we find to be detrimental parameters from the model, is the performance going to improve? And I think the same exact concept can really be applied to life. It's just that these detrimental parameters might be outdated beliefs or draining relationships or, you know, environments that we have simply outgrown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I've heard that for a lot of people having kind of a more like regimented lifestyle of like, having kind of a plan of like what you're going to kind of eat during the week and, reducing having to figure out like, oh, I'm going to be wearing this many clothes. And of course, it depends on kind of the person that you are. I know there's definitely some people who would be like, no, I need to have like a new outfit every day because I'm in like a more say like I don't know how many sociable offices there are anymore, but I know back in the day of like, oh, people going into work in offices, it would be like, oh, I have my Monday outfit and I have this outfit and sometimes I switch them up, but I honestly think I should try that at some point because I have so many clothes, but I every time I wake up and I have to go somewhere, it's always like, oh shit, I have to go find clothes now. And what should I put together? And then I start overthinking about what do I got to put on? How professional is this event? Do I go polo? Do I go multiple layers? Do I do this or that? But yeah, that definitely works for a lot of people. And yeah, it's kind of it's fascinating stuff to think about sometimes. And honestly, it kind of sounds like you're making efficiency more a part of your life as well, not just your research.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is something I've been very about for a long time. It's like, probably since really started taking it really seriously probably when I went to college. Like whenever I would go to my dining hall, it's like I'd have a staple just I when it's breakfast time, I know exactly what I'm gonna eat. When it's lunchtime, I know exactly what I'm gonna eat. I also have been wearing the same black t-shirts for like since sophomore year of college. But yeah. But yeah, it's funny that, very similar concepts are in machine learning as in life.
Yeah. And I also you did mention videos about basketball. I understand that a little bit. I'm not the biggest sports guru out there, but I do love me some highlight videos. Top top 10, top 10 dunks, top 10 rejections in NBA history. Even though they usually only have stuff from like the past 10 years, so it's all like modern players, but Charles Barkley getting angry compilation part two, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I find that to be part of like my sports watching experience. And so yeah, definitely YouTube. But any music that's just been kind of in your life lately that you'd want to recommend to anyone else.
Uh yeah. So
I know music choice can be embarrassing for some people to talk about, but just, something that you think that people might want to listen to.
so two songs that I heard yesterday that I have really been loving was Swim Good by Frank Ocean and this song Confidence by Ocean something. I don't know if you know it.
Oh, I think I might know that one. I think I might
Yeah,
know the one, and I might list it in the description afterwards.
yeah. Those two songs I've been really loving, but outside of that, recently, music, music. Yeah, outside of that, I don't know. I feel like I forget a lot of the song. I've been liking a lot of Mariah Carey recently. I like that song Obsessed, uh, and Emotions also. But yeah, I listen. I really am like like a AI person. So it's like
God.
Spotify released a new feature a few months or years. I don't even know at this point, maybe a few months ago, the Spotify DJ, where it just like selects songs that you would like based on your previous listening history.
Oh, I've
And
heard about the Spotify DJ.
I rock with that pretty much on a daily basis.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard some people hate that thing. I've heard some people are like, "Yo, yeah, DJ is just gonna just dishing out just garbage after garbage." But it works for some people, I guess.
I like it a lot. It also like mixes in like new songs that like it's like, oh, based on your listening patterns, other people like this artist and these songs. You might like it too. You know what I mean? It's pretty. I think it's cool at least.
Yeah, I feel like some people just want to listen to their favorite things over and over again, but they don't want to just go back and to, like pick out the song. They want to be like, I want it to just give me the thing that I want to hear. But that
Yes.
happens sometimes. All right, so we have about 1 minute left in this recording stage right here. Um, so I don't know if you have another topic that you want to talk about, or that you want me to react to or talk about, then we could have another meeting. Other than that, if you want to just plug stuff and end things right here, then it's fine by me either way.
Uh, I mean, I could talk for yeah, I could talk for longer if you have anything in particular. I feel like I don't know, maybe some I could tell a
Oh,
story
you,
of a business. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
okay, yeah, we can do that. Let me just reset up the meeting here,
Yeah.
and then we can hop back in because I also had a movie I wanted to recommend to the people,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
and
Sounds good.
potentially to you if you're into some of the classics. But let me see. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording and then I'm gonna restart a meeting if I can. All right, so we're back. Uh, Second half because I try and keep the cost low on this podcast, so I use free software only to record anything and edit all my stuff. And sometimes that means there's time constraints, but we're back. And okay, yeah, we were kind of in the middle of recommendations. You had that Confidence by Ocean Alley, you had some Mariah Carey in there, you had Frank Ocean, a lot of ocean-based stuff, very
Yeah.
cool. Um, yeah, Frank Ocean's a popular one so far with guests on this show. At least two out of the three or four guests I've had have been Frank Ocean fans. So that's led me to go into a bit of his stuff. I've gone into Frank Ocean a bit myself. He's a very talented artist. Um, yeah, so I guess oh yeah, so I had a well, I mean, I guess this is a bit of a reading podcast as well, but I've only been reading like one thing. I've been reading Intro to Philosophy book and and that's really slow and really dry. And I tell people just get into philosophy on your own. It doesn't matter if you're using the same book that I am. But I have also been reading some short stories from a collection by Mariana Enriquez called Things We Lost in the Fire. And it's basically a collection of short kind of suspense, sort of horror stories, all set in kind of in Argentina and kind of in the cities, showing like the differences in like in class and stuff. And it's all pretty bleak. It's very bleak, but it's not very bloody. So if you're into kind of suspense stuff, but you're not into like, really gory horror stories or anything like that, and you like kind of like mystery and you're into Latin American literature and that sort of thing, it's a good place to go. But actually, what I wanted to recommend to people because I watched this like 3 weeks ago, but I haven't gone to talk about it yet. Is a movie called A Fish Called Wanda. Have you ever heard of it?
I have not heard of it, no.
Okay, so I heard about it first years and years ago from my parents because it's a very much like a boomer or very old Gen X generation type of movie. It's from like 1984, I think. And yeah, and according to my mom, it is the quote funniest movie ever. And while I didn't think it's quite the funniest movie ever, it is pretty solid. It had I almost called him an aging comedian, but he was only like 40 at the time. But it was the guy from Monty Python, John Cleese. He's one of the stars there, and then Jamie Lee Curtis is the other lead, and she plays Wanda, who's like a kind of like a seductress con artist type person.
Is
And
she
it's
the
been
Glee person?
what?
Is she the Glee lady, if I'm thinking correctly?
She was first in like the Halloween movies. It's like
I'm
she's in a lot of slasher movies. She did those fiber she did like some Fiber One commercials and Activia yogurt commercials. She was in a lot of those for a while. Anyway, she's a very famous actress. It doesn't really matter if you know her by name because you've seen her in something before.
yeah.
But this is one of her comedy roles, which she was kind of known more for like suspense and like horror movies, kind of because she was in all like the first two or three, or she was at least in the first Halloween movie with Michael Myers and all that shit. But yeah, it's so this is like one of her comedy roles, and it's basically just about her um, kind of like backstabbing and one-upping other con artists who are all trying to get like this like batch of diamonds and stuff. And so it's kind of like a heist movie, but it's definitely leans more towards comedy, and it kind of gets more absurd as it goes on. Um, but yeah, it's a fun movie. I recommend it. It's Yeah, let's say it's not nothing too crazy or disturbing or anything. It's kind of it has a little bit of like kind of British style like Monty Python goofy humor, especially in the second half. So
Yeah.
it's definitely like a good, I'd say it's probably like a good date night movie if, if you're going out with anyone who has any interest in movies at all. It's a very well-made film and it's well written and it's got a lot of very well decorated actors, even if a lot of them aren't that famous anymore because they're old. But Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. You'll recognize her.
Mm.
But yeah, very very solid movie. Not the funniest movie ever, but that's my mom's opinion. Is from a it was probably the funniest movie of that year maybe. Is it 1984? I don't know a lot of other major comedy movies from that year. Although I'm probably wrong. That was probably when like Ghostbusters came out or something, and I'm stupid, but it doesn't matter. I'm getting into movie culture specifically for this podcast, so it doesn't really phase me at all right now. Um, but yeah, that's definitely a solid movie. So I just wanted to put that out there because I failed to talk about it in any previous episodes. But you said you had a story maybe related to businesses or starting a business or something along those lines.
Yes. And it's like there's so many different ways I can take this. Oof. I think I'm going to talk about it in the
The third person.
no,
Okay, okay.
in the context of what I do now with machine learning. Um, so I think one of the thing for a little bit of context, when I was in college, I started a mobile detailing business. And I started this because I used to work for a local mobile detailing business in my hometown. And this guy, I was very close to him, and he basically taught me how to start a business from the ground up. I was his first employee, and he ended up having like five different employees by the time I left. Um, and I basically learned just like how to start a business from the ground up with this guy, right? And I think one of the most important lessons that I learned from this process of starting a business is being able to deal with rejection. Because this is a skill that I think most people don't have and stops them from pretty much doing anything that they would want to do in life. And rejection does not just mean like hearing no. It means like, putting out a podcast and getting no views. It means asking, I mean,
Hey,
not
I
not
handle it very well.
but like, asking a girl out and getting told no, applying for a job and getting rejected. You know what I mean? Asking to join a machine learning lab and getting told no three times, four times, five times before you get a yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love telling this story because a lot of people who know me think that, it was a very easy thing for me to do. And it was actually one of the hardest things for me to do ever. Um, just the process of starting out because I was so scared that, nobody's gonna want to get serviced by me. Like I'm not a serious guy. Like I don't have this equipment, that equipment, I don't have this website, whatever, right? Any excuse you can think of. You know what I mean? And and that delayed me from starting for a few months at least. And when I first did get started, because the guy who I used to work with used to be in my ear all the time about, starting this thing. Um, I started advertising. I didn't really know what I was doing too much. He gave me some advice, but I have to try some things out. And I used to hand out business cards. I used to um just ask people. I used to post on Snapchat, and I used to have these yard signs I used to put out on like different street corners. And I asked like many friends to, post me on their story. I'll even pay them. And so many people just said no. You know what I mean? And that was like a heartbreaking thing for me because it's like, you kind of find out who really supports you in your endeavors and who doesn't. You know what I mean? And it's like I was offering money too, and people would still say no. And I used to hand out business cards, and there were so many to tie along with getting rejected. I think um, another thing, another critical skill I gained from this process was, you know, being like the odd man out. Because I think that's something else that many people really struggle with in, chasing after their goals. Because no matter what you do, it's like if you try and do anything and do it pretty well, you're going to be an anomaly to most people. You know what I mean? And I used to be so afraid of being outed and being like, why are you doing this? Like, or just like having eyeballs on me. And I used to hand out business cards and I would hand them out to my professors because I thought, these guys have money. They can afford this. You know what I mean? They might actually pay me. And of course, the first few professors I gave it to had absolutely no interest in it at all. But one professor I gave a business card to, he had no interest either. But what he would do is like in the beginning of class, he used to be like, "Oh, this was a intro to engineering class." He would say out to the class like, "Oh, the student here, Chris, handed me a business card, and he has a mobile detailing business." And then he's like, "Stop the class!" And this was like a circular classroom. This wasn't even like a lecture hall. And the entire room was like staring at me, like while me and him are having this conversation in front of him, in front of all of them. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I have melanin, so my face doesn't turn red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I had less like the feeling of my face turning just completely. I was so embarrassed. I was sweating profusely as we were talking out loud about, oh, how'd you get started? Oh, why are you doing this? You're into cars, and it was just so awkward. And I'm so looking back on it, I'm so grateful for that experience because now I have pretty much no shame about posting content and, you know, being seen by people, even if, people might be sending my stuff around, making fun of me or whatever. It's kind of just like a whatever thing to me. And getting rejected so many times beforehand, doing that also. And my favorite part about this is that when I started actually getting some traction, I had like all I had was a phone number. I had no website, no anything, right? The first two calls that I got for my business was one person calling me saying that if I see your sign out on the street again, I'm gonna call the police on you. And then the next
For
call,
hurting my eyes. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
and then the next call was from my school's trademarking and licensing department because I handed it to a professor and I think he might have shown someone else or something. I don't know. And I went to UMass Amherst and my business card said like UMass car detailing. And I guess he handed it to somebody or something. And they called me and they said, hi, is this UMass car detailing? I was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like very excited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a customer. And they were just like, this is the UMass trademarking and licensing department, and you cannot use the UMass branding on your advertising, and you have to destroy all of these cards immediately, or we're going to take legal action against you. And I
See
was,
you in court.
and I was so shaken up from that experience that I don't think they knew exactly who I was, but I was so shaken up by the experience. I used to go by a fake name, and I have it framed in my room, but on my first checks that I would get from the business, the checks would be made out to like it would say Gene Francis instead of Chris Francis. I don't know why I thought like hiding my identity would, protect me from anything that would happen, but I wasn't actually doing anything illegal, so I really had nothing to worry about. So long as I, didn't hand out the business cards, continued with the UMass name on it. And yeah, doing that was the start of the business, and that experience was so incredibly valuable to me. Aside from the money that I made, the money that I made is I actually think is pretty inconsequential to the skills that I learned from starting that business. And I think it has propelled me to be able to really navigate making a career change and really planning out how to make sure my finances are in order to do this properly and be able to take calculated risk. Um, and yeah, those are kind of just some lessons I learned from that business. But I just love telling the story about, the first two phone calls I got because I think a lot of people think that, this was just, peaches and rainbows, or at least people who know me. But it was very difficult, especially for the character that I had. But very
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting story. So is this you actually did manage to get some did you ever actually manage to get any paid business at some point?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That was just the start. I was doing this for like 3 years worth of time. And a normal week. So after I actually started getting going, which probably took me like a few months to really get, people in the town like know who I am, or people have heard about this guy who cleans people's cars or whatever. A normal week for me would be like 3 customers a week. Um, yeah, so I would have like 3 paid people a week I would go to, like all different sorts of people. I would do repeats also, but uh, most of the time it would be new people from all around the area. Yeah, and I
That is
ran it for 3 years, made some good money.
wow, that's actually legitimately impressive.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, you know what? I'm good at getting guests. I'm getting some solid guests. I've been getting people who actually like, know stuff and can do stuff. I was kind of worried that at some point, probably just to get more people out there, I'm thinking that I'm going to start just putting posters around the region where I live and have people just like use the podcast business email
Yeah,
to
you
type in
should.
and then yeah, and then honestly, now that I know that Zoom kind of works as a medium, I don't even have to invite these randos over to my house. I can just
Yeah.
like I can send them a Zoom link and be like, "Hey, you wanna talk some shit about whatever you do, or not even talk shit, just like even talk about what you do. You can talk shit if you want to. This is very much a shit talking friendly podcast, but it's also a friendly talking podcast as well." So yeah, that's actually pretty impressive. I do have one question: why your first instinct was to name your business UMass? Like that seems like the most easy, like the easiest like lawsuit potential ever. It's like asking for it. Like you probably could have even put the town name before that. I
No, so
mean,
it's funny because I changed it to Amherst Mobile Car Detailing after
yeah,
fact.
yeah, that would have been my first thought. This is like people don't even know it could be in Lowell. Like it.
Yeah, I don't know because it's like my initial thought process when starting this was like I'm a college kid and my clients are going to be all other college kids. I'm going to market around the campus. I'm going to be like the guy to go to on campus. And I was just completely wrong. Um like 95% of my customers were retired old people who lived in the area, and probably 5%, or not 95%, like 95% were like townspeople, just like random adults who live in the area. And the majority of them being like old retired people, and then 5% I would say were students. And I just was so much thinking about the perspective of marketing to other students because I was a student. And the other thing about it is like I also, like I said, I started this when I was 18 years old. So it's like I
Yeah,
was very ignorant. Like I said about the computer science, I didn't really have a lot of thoughts about a lot of different things. You know what I mean? Uh,
right.
I had no idea about, that it's illegal to use someone's name and likeness without their permission. It's like, I might have heard a thing or two, but I didn't understand like what that actually means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can kind of fall into that habit where it's just like, yeah, it's college. Like these things doesn't matter. But I especially by that point that what I'm thinking about when you might have been in school, like UMass is definitely pretty litigious by that point in time where they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're like we'll come after you. We have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah.
Like we're not even the zoo anymore. We're a prestigious research institute, and you could not tell tell people that we have car detailing.
Yeah. So,
But yeah, that's wild. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. I've never had a good business in my life. When I was a kid, I had a lemonade stand that didn't get anybody, which is actually no. We had a lemonade stand for one day, and luckily it was next to a baseball field where the high school baseball team would play. and I don't even know if I made any money or if I saw any of that money because I know some of it had to cover the cost of the lemonade because you just buy lemonade. But yeah, I can't even yeah, I've never even considered starting my own business short of podcasts, but I do
Yeah, this is your
podcasts
first
for
opportunity to go for it then.
yeah, you know what? Hey, my first penny that I make off of YouTube or whatever, I'm gonna pin that penny to my wall. I'll weld it to the front of my car or
It's
something.
funny because I did the same exact thing with the checks I got from the business. It's like I have it. I'm not going to show it because
Yeah,
there's
yeah, don't do that.
not, but I have it framed and it's right there hanging over my bed, and that's definitely something that's going to be carried with me forever. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, in terms of the podcast, like, why is there any like specific things you want to go to or like topics? Is like I would think you should just start emailing people. Also, it's going to be difficult, with the smaller you are because people want in terms of like content branding and collaboration, people want like a some sort of benefit of going on to somebody else's platform. Like if they're just a random person, you know what I mean? They probably would be willing to,
Yeah.
but like for, more famous people, they probably would want uh some sort of exposure or payment or something, you know what I mean? But I would still encourage you to just like, especially if you're like interested in, environmental stuff, birds and whatnot, just like start emailing people, like just known people in the field, and you'd be shocked at the people who respond. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, the best benefit that this podcast can give so far is I have social media. So I can promote stuff on social media if people want to. I've mostly these first few episodes I've just been trying to kind of get the rhythm down. The other thing is, this is actually probably one of the more professional sounding episodes that I've had in a while.
Yeah.
Because usually I just go straight off the rails, but I tend to kind of like echo the mentality of my guests going into it, and so you kept it very professional, but also interesting, which I appreciate. Because if you were boring, I'd start pestering you with like weird questions. I'd start hitting you with just like weird questions, like, oh, what was your first bad memory, or like, what was your, when was the time when you lost a lot of money, or something? It's just weird. Yeah, I'd start doing off-putting stuff like that, and so that's the type of thing. But you know what? Maybe you're right. If I can put like a good persona out there, and get people who maybe have like sort of a theme, then yeah, that might be good. But yeah, honestly, this is yeah, unless you have anything else you want to talk about, it's been great talking with you today.
Yeah, I
Uh
think. Yeah, I think I'm good to go.
yeah.
This was nice.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming on. And yeah, is there anything do you have you say you've done some content creation of your own. Is there a YouTube channel or anything that you wanna put out there?
Yeah, I mean, I post content on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and my name on all of them is just my name, Chris Francisc. So if you look it up on those platforms, you'll find me.
All right, that's awesome. And make sure, of course, to check out the On to the Next Thing OTNT podcast social media pages. They're all at OTNT podcast on Blue Sky and on Mastodon and YouTube and Instagram. I don't have an X account right now because I don't want to deal with that yet. I don't know if my soul could handle the potential feedback that I might receive on X.
Yeah.
And I don't want bots clogging my feed, and I don't want all of my audience to be bots. So I try and build my brand on slightly more reputable platforms, even though that's the biggest one that everyone goes to. And but yeah, hey, and I've said this before. It's a kind of a bit, but kind of not a bit. If you have an X account that you would like to let me borrow on, and have it use it for my podcast, and just have if you have like an old Twitter account that you aren't using and you want to give me the login so I can use it for the OTNT podcast, please reach out at OTNT podcast at gmail.com. Please reach out. Um, but yeah, once again, thank you for coming on today. It was great talking with you.
It was great to talk to you also.
All All right. And for everyone
Enjoy.
listening, see you next time.